Welcome to Science Access. In today's class, we'll be talking about rate of chemical reaction. If you know you are new to this channel, please kindly subscribe and put on the notification bell so that I get notified whenever I post a new video. Now, what is the rate of chemical reaction? It actually refers to the change in the concentration of the product or the reactant over time or per unit time. It's a very simple concept. Rate of chemical reaction is actually rate of reaction is change in concentration of reactant product over change in time. Now, I'll be using a very simple chemical equation to explain this. Let's assume that our common table salt is gotten from reaction of sodium with chlorine. I have sodium chloride. Let's balance the chemical equation. You just put your 2 here. So the chemical equation is balanced now. Now, what is the rate of chemical reaction in this? Is the rate in change of this all over the time it takes for that change to occur, or the rate in change of the product all over the time taken for the change to occur? Let me break it down further. Remember, before this chemical reaction happens, these are the reactants. These are actually what is present there. Now, they collide among themselves. Over time, this will start combining with this when they gain enough heat energy to carry out a perfect collision. This will start combining with this to form this. So we have initial quantity of this. When they start forming this, the quantity of this will reduce. Quantity of this will start reducing, and the quantity of this will start reducing. So remember that we have an initial quantity. So the change is actually the volume of the initial quantity, or the initial quantity minus the final quantity. Then you cannot put over the time it takes for this change to occur. So we can put our rate of chemical reaction as this. Rate, I can rewrite it like this. Rate of reaction is equal to the quantity of this that is being formed. Quantity of sodium chloride formed all over time taken for it to be formed. Time taken. So it's actually, I'm just rewriting a very simplified version. Or we can also put quantity of this that is consumed. The time taken for the quantity of this to be consumed. Quantity of this that is consumed. These are the reactants. These are what is reacting with each other. And this is actually the product. So rate of chemical reaction is simple. Again, let me define it again. Change in concentration of the reactant all over time taken for this change to occur, or change in concentration of the product all over the time taken for this change to occur. So that is how we define change of chemical reaction as the change in the concentration of the reactant or product per unit time, or the time taken for this change to occur. So this is a very simple formula that can be used to calculate for the rate of chemical reaction. So before we move further, let's deviate a little and talk about collision theory. For a chemical reaction to take place, the reacting particles, they must interact, they must collide with each other. And this collision, if the collision between them is effective, we have two types of collision, effective and ineffective collision. If the collision between them is effective, how can it be effective? This collision gain enough energy through temperature usually, as well as increase in concentration. Remember, if the concentration is increased, there is they are crowded and they collide faster, which eventually increase the temperature. All right, and if you actually increase the temperature, they also collide they gain energy and they collide faster. So this fast collision can result to effective collision, which now surpasses the activation energy this thing will now combine to form what this. But if the collision is ineffective, if it's ineffective, they collide and they go their separate way, it will not result in the formation of what the product. So for a chemical reaction to occur, there is interaction between the reactant, and this interaction is in the form of what collision. And if the collision is effective, it results in the formation of what the product. Note that while if it's ineffective, it may not result to any chemical what reaction. So we have two types of collision: effective collision in chemistry, as well as ineffective what collision. Now, note that we will now discuss the factors that affect what the rate of what chemical reaction. There are some factors that affect the rate of chemical reaction. After that, in the part 2 of this video, I will talk about how to carry out some calculation in the rate of what chemical what reaction. Now, what are the factors that affect the rate of chemical reaction? Let's highlight them first. Factors affecting the rate of chemical reaction. Number one is actually temperature. Number two is concentration. Three is light. Now, this light I can decide to add catalyst because light actually serves as catalyst for some chemical reactions. So I can say light, or in general, I can put catalyst. So for you have catalyst. Number 5 is actually nature of the reactant. Number 6, we can add the surface area. Surface area. All right. So let's just quickly take a look at them one after the other. The first, we'll use our simple chemical reaction. Sodium chlorine to give sodium what? Chloride. All right. Temperature. If you increase the temperature of a chemical reactant, just increase the temperature, they will gain more energy. And collide faster. They can move faster. And more faster collision results to what? More effective collision, which leads to what? The product being formed. So temperature actually increase the rate of chemical reaction. It's a very simple thing. Increase the temperature, increase the energy or the internal energy of the system. So the reactants gain more energy. They collide faster. Remember, that's the reason why I actually explained collision theory. They can now move because they have more energy. They can now move faster, and the fact that they can move faster, more of them have effective collision, and the result to formation of the product. So increase the temperature, increase the rate of chemical reaction. What about if you now increase if you decrease the temperature? Definitely it will also decrease the rate of chemical reaction. Increase in concentration. If the concentration of these reactants are increased, that means there is more rowdiness. There is more rowdiness in the system. They collide also faster because they move a little and collide. Imagine we have numerous balls in a particular room. And there are so many, they will hit each other at any small distance. But if we have just 2 balls, they may be moving around, but they may not hit each other. So increase the concentration actually increase rowdiness and increase collision. This actually leads to more effective collision, resulting to increase the rate of chemical reaction. What about if you decrease the concentration? Actually decrease the rate of chemical reaction. Why for the light as a factor is not general. Light does not affect many chemical reactions. All right, but there are some chemical reactions that are actually affected by light, such as the decomposition of hydrogen peroxide, even photosynthesis, which is the common one in that occur in plant cell to produce food. It is influenced by light. All right, we have others reaction of maintain and chlorine and all that. They are being affected by light. Catalyst as number 4 factor that affects the rate of chemical reaction. Catalysts, the way catalysts affect the rate of chemical reaction is different. They actually lower the activator energy, hastening the rate at which the chemical reaction. You know that in general, for a chemical reaction to occur, the energy gain must be able to overcome the activation energy. So what does catalyst do? It lowers the activation energy, so enabling the chemical reaction to occur faster. So generally, catalyst is used to increase the rate of chemical reaction. Nature of the reactant. Nature of the reactant. Now let me use this simple reaction. We have sodium can react with what? HCl to give what? Sodium chloride plus what? H2. All right, so we can eventually balance the chemical reaction. Now, do you know why this reaction is so fast? The reason is simple. Sodium is a very reactive metal. It's its nature. It's the nature of the reactant. What about if you now impute silver into this equation? Or even copper into this equation? As a result of, copper is not as reactive as sodium. So this reaction is occurring fast because of the nature of the reactant, which is sodium. Sodium is very reactive, so it can easily displace hydrogen from hydrogen chloride, forming sodium chloride. And hydrogen is now left alone. But you may use gold. Gold will not react because it's not reactive. It is the nature of the reactant. Gold cannot displace hydrogen from what? Hydrogen chloride. So nature of the reactant also influence the rate of chemical reaction. Why the last one is surface area. The influence of surface area, you can use your common sense. Imagine picking a chalk and putting into a particular chemical reaction. Chalk, definitely we have some compound or some element that make up the chalk. Putting in a chemical reaction, a big chalk as a whole. But now grind that same chalk and put it in that same chemical reaction. The grinded portion, all the smaller particles, all their surfaces is actually exposed to the other element, the other reacting element. As a result, the chemical reaction will occur faster as a result of the fact that numerous surface area is exposed. But what about a piece of chalk like this? You only have the surface particles being exposed. What about those inside? They are not exposed. So increase in surface area actually leads to what? Increase in the rate of chemical reaction. While decrease in surface area. How do you increase the surface area in the case of the chalk? You just grind it. So if you have smaller particle, all the surface of the smaller particle be exposed to other reactants. So you are now increasing the surface area. But in this case, only the surface area of the outer particles of the chalk is actually exposed. So decrease in surface area can lead to decrease in the rate of chemical reaction. Increase in surface area can lead to increase in the rate of chemical reaction. It's a very simple concept. If you know you have any question, you can always ask in the comment section and answer will be provided. In the part 2 of this video, I'm telling you how to calculate, or I'll be solving some calculation questions involving rate of chemical reaction. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and like this video if it actually helped you understand this topic. Thank you for watching.